Looks like you're gonna get to vote tonight there.
That's right.
All right, we are on the air, so let's call the meeting for February 11th of the Planning and Zoning Commission, acting as the local planning agency to order, and we'll get started. Start off with a invocation and a pledge, and then we'll have a roll call. So Member Forges will be do the pledge for us tonight, right after the invocation. Heavenly Father, as we start this new year, our first meeting of the year, we thank you for everything that's going on in our city and in its building. We ask for a wisdom to make good decisions, to push on to our commission so that they can make the decisions they need to make for our city as we go forward. We ask a blessing on all of our first responders, keep them safe as they go about their business of keeping us safe. We ask a blessing on all of our children as they go to school and getting ready, as hard as it seems, getting ready to wind down, starting picking colleges and things like that already. So keep them safe and let them do well the second half of the year. And as always, wherever our military are in the world, keep them safe and bring them home to us. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. And Madam Clerk, we'll turn it over to you for a roll call.
Member Mellon?
Present.
Member Lomnick is absent. Member Wunderlich?
Here.
Chair Keller?
Here.
Vice Chair Williams?
Here?
Alternate Member Forges?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, and due to the fact that Member Lumneck is not here, Member Forges will be voting tonight, as the calls for in the rules there. Okay. With that, first order of business is the consent agenda for the December 10th meeting. So we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda from December.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Member Mellon, a second by Member Wunderlich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, and that will get us, there is no old business, so that'll get us to our new business. First business of the night is the Cortez variance, and for that we'll have zoning manager Gajadar. Nope, no, we don't. We've got
He's on vacation, so yes, I'm
All right.
stepping in.
switch
so-
my notes. Okay. So if I could, well,
Okay,
turn it over
thank
to
you. Yes. The item before you is a variance request to a side street setback for a fence. The property is located in the Forest Lake Estates subdivision. It's a newer subdivision on the north side of Claricona-Ocoee Road, adjacent to the Forest Lake Golf Course. And the properties here have your smaller lot sizes, 50s, 60s, 55s, 5-foot setbacks, and whatnot. It's one of these newer subdivisions that we have. It's located at 717 Misty Maple. The lot is a corner lot. As you can see from the aerial, it's not, property appraisers is not up to date. There's an existing home here, and there's a home behind it being built. You can see this corner lot is a rear to side corner, where if you can follow my cursor here, you have a rear to rear type of a setup. Under the Land Development Code, there is a provision where you can have a reduced setback on corner lots if the lots are rear to rear. If they're rear to side, you keep the traditional setbacks. In this development, which is a plan unit development, that front setback and that side street setback is 20 feet. The code on corner lots that are rear to rear, you can go to 15 feet. Rear to side, you got to meet that front setback. The request is, so here's an aerial showing the house with a fence. The applicant had went through a fence company, got a fence permit. The plan on the permit showed the fence meeting the setback. It was going to be 4.5 feet off the house, meeting the 20-foot. The fence was installed in a different location, and that was brought to the attention. The fence company moved the fence back to what the plan showed, and the applicant is in the variance process right now. This is a survey of the property. You can see there's a 24.5-foot setback. So at 20 feet, there's 4.5 foot. And this one shows the plan we approved. There's this, first it was, the fence was at 4.5 feet. And this shows what he's requesting to go from a 20-foot side street setback to a 17-foot side street setback. So he's not asking for a variance. The fence was actually put at 10 feet off the property line, moved back to 4.5 feet. He's asking to move the fence an additional 3 feet. So he's asking for a lesser variance than when we first talked to him a long time ago, before the fence company moved the fence. I want to show you, this is the house next door. The driveway for this, so this is his lot, Mr. Cortez, the applicant. And so that fence comes in line now with the house with a variance of 3 feet. You know, it'd be 3 feet this way. If it were to go all the way to the sidewalk, you can see. But it's, just want to show you, because this house is under construction, the driveway is on this side of the lot. So the variance request is to install a 6-foot high privacy fence, 17 feet from the side street property line in lieu of 20 feet. The applicant is here. He had emailed me some pictures. I've been on site a couple times talking to him, so the applicant would like to speak. And then I'll reserve some comments for when he's done and we have some discussion. So thank you.
So before we open it up to the applicant and all that, any questions for staff? No? All right.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Forgive me, I'm a little disoriented. The property owner wants to move another 3 feet closer
From-
to his neighbor or away from him.
Closer
Close
to
to the
the
neighbor, okay.
lot line, yes.
Yes, that's
So
what I
it'd
want. I was like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
17 feet setback in lieu of 20 feet.
Gotcha.
All right. Any other questions? If not, we'll invite the applicant up.
Mr. Cortez?
Mr. Cortez? All right. And just give your name and address for the record there, sir, and then,
My name is William Cortez Colon, and my address is 717 Misty Maple Street, Apopka 32703.
This is one of those subdivisions
yeah,
that has an Apopka address.
that's in the
Orange
code.
County Water, City of Ocoee reclaimed. So,
Yeah.
When I first bought it, I was told that it was going to change to an Ocoee zip code within a year, but I haven't heard nothing about it.
Yeah, we're still working on that up in Washington, so yeah, I know they're still trying to get that resolved. But go ahead, so.
Okay, yeah. The reason why we bought this house, you know, my wife and I, we came here, I'm 69 years old. And we came here to look for housing because, you know, my sons have moved here and we wanted to be with our two grandchildren, basically to help them, you know, while they're working, to take care of them. So, but I was about to retire. I was in the military for 23 years in the U.S. Army. Then I kept working until I just retired about a month ago. I was at MacDill Air Force Base working in Tampa for, you know, since 1994 and in the service since 1974. So, but then when I came here, I was looking for a house within my, you know, budget, but at least I wanted to get a big lot to maximize, because I do train. I'm a runner. I run. I'm 69 years old, but I can run the 5 kilometer in 25 minutes. And I'm number 7 in Florida in my age group. You know, I compete in what's called the Florida Senior Game League, and we compete every year We do, you know, and there's about, close to about 7,000, close to 7,200 members in the senior games. And one of the best exercise that anyone can do is a long jump. Because, you know, the 3 kilometers is 3.11 miles, okay? The last mile is where you die or win. And to get, you know, to actually to develop that strategy, the long jump is the best. Can you show the? Okay, everybody knows what is a long jump.
Mhm.
You've seen that. So basically, that is what I've been trying to build in the back of my house, in the backyard. Basically, I want to do 2 lanes where I could actually do the run, because, you know, a long jump, you actually need about a portion to accelerate your body and then to do the jump, okay? And since the place is small, I want to maximize the utilization by doing 2 lanes, in which I will do 45 feet, but then you see, I have to clear at least 10 to 12 feet to land, you know, so I don't kill myself, you know? And then what I want to do is to build another lane. So basically, even morning, like every morning, I normally run about between 24 to 30 miles a week. So, but in order for you to prepare for the 5K, you need the depth.
Go back to the mic so we can pick you up on the tape.
You need the
Thank you.
depth, and you need also the speed. That is my weakest point, the speed. So, in doing the long jump, it's where I want to train, and that is what I want to do in my home, be able to do 2 lanes in which, you know, I can, you know, run, jump, and repeat that about 20, 30 times every other day, and then after that, boom, do my 5K. And after that, you know, when I'm not using that for running, that is the best thing that I could do, you know, to play with my grandchildren. That was the main purpose that I bought that lot for, you know, and actually I can invite all of you to come and to train with me, you know, after if you guys approve that. The thing is, if you take away, you know, originally, there was about 10 feet addition. It was about 9 or 10 feet that I wanted to add in order to be able to have the length about 70% of what is actually needed. Now, if you're taking away all that thing from me, I'm having less than 50%. It's very difficult to accelerate at my age, running, you know, a mile, acceleration running a mile at less than 7 minutes a mile, you know, in 40 feet. It's almost impossible.
All right. So, any questions from the board members for the applicant?
Mike, we need to confirm the house I was displayed. I don't think it's the house of this
Yep.
gentleman.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't think it was the right house I was displayed for this gentleman. The house I was on the screen is not the right house.
No, he had some pictures he sent me. I'm not sure,
Okay.
so I thought he was gonna talk about them.
Well, no, the other pictures are, it's basically, I don't want to emphasize this because I found this after the fact, is that there are other houses. You know, I bought a premium lot and I paid a lot more money than the standard lot. But my thing is, my whole idea was to use that as a training area. But there are other houses that have corner lot that have the same, you know, that are just because of the location, the geometry is, you know, you could do it. They can do it. But he was at my house. And the 3 feet that I am asking for will not hinder at all visibility for my neighbor. If I do it more than 3, then if you take the angle, yeah,
Right.
you probably cut more than 1 or 2 degrees from the exit. No more than that. Probably 5 more, you know, degrees. But from the 3 feet that I'm asking for, you don't take nothing from visibility. The mathematics is simple. I'm an engineer. So the mathematics is simple. If I, you know, extend it the way I had, I
Okay.
give up. You know, I said yes. I would probably, you know, was a very small obstacle, you know, for
Okay.
visibility problem, but not the 3 feet that I'm asking for.
All right, thank you. Any other additional questions? If none, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this issue? Seeing none, we will close the
Hold on,
public.
Mr. Chairman. So, we're finding in a lot of these newer subdivisions that are gated, this one's not gated, but have HOAs, with these reduced setbacks, small lots, in small setbacks, I say, small widths and setbacks, a lot of these fence issues are coming to light. So we just adopted changing our fence location in the LDC. We will look at it. There's some options out there, looking at fences. Going forward, I'm gonna look at new subdivisions not having rear to side lot makeup. That'll
Yeah,
take away a
that
lot
would
of
solve the problem.
Yes. But, so I just want to say, looking at options at other jurisdictions, some of these HOAs, it takes a rigorous review to get their HOA approval. We're not bound by that. But if we're looking at things, what that means in these newer sort of T&D, smaller, and so I just want to make you aware of that. You may see that in the future. We're looking at a lot of things, signage and fences and stuff like that, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, anyone else?
The applicant raised his hand.
Okay,
You got it.
yeah. All right, so with that, we will close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board. Any additional questions?
Mr. Rumor, there are 4 contiguous lots there that are the same orientation. Am I seeing that correctly? So if this lot has a different setback than the other 3 contiguous lots, what happens?
Well, the 3 lots adjacent, one of them is a corner lot. So what all that says is, see, this lot fronts one street. It has a 20-foot setback. Its fence can come right up, and he kind of showed some fences. Let me see one. It seems like people are not pulling the fence up on these interior lots as close as they can, but you could go right up to your sidewall. Generally, people move them back behind the spigot or behind the AC unit. So I'm showing you that to say, these interior lots can have fences right up to the house line. It's this corner lot where the provision says it's got to meet the front setback unless it's rear to rear. Then if it's rear to rear, the fence can go to 15 feet. If it's rear to side, it's got to meet the front setback. In a lot of the older subdivisions, you'll see the fence comes right off the house. In this instance, this property is 24 foot. So it can actually have a little 4-foot gate and it can come off. If it was set back at 20 feet, it would need to come off the back of the house straight to that lot. The general interpretation, reasoning for that is because that if you increase the fence beyond the 20 foot, then the person behind now in their front yard has a fence sticking out in the front yard, which is not, in the normal inline lots, you can have a fence in the front yard, but it has to be 4 feet and opaque. So you don't have a 6-foot fence in your front yard. So that's one of the reasons, aesthetics. The other reason for that is as this person pulls out of their driveway, you get to theirs, if you have a fence sitting here, you're pulling out, you're across the sidewalk before you know, there's an angle, and I'm not, but so that's sort of the reasoning for that fence requirement. They're all most every jurisdiction has that requirement. It's just, so does that answer your question? There's 4 lots, but really 2 of them are in line, the other one's a corner lot.
Thank you very much.
But he's met the side,
Presently, the fence meets the side. It's
Meets the
4
side.
foot, 4.5 foot off the house, so it's 20 foot.
correct.
And that house next door it can be as close as 20 feet. It's actually sitting back on the survey 21 foot.
So this fence is already installed. This is a request to, as opposed to 20 feet from the
Property
side,
line,
he's asking for 17,
17.
but it's already installed.
It's installed at 20.
At 20,
It's
but he's
still-
asking to reinstall it
Yes,
to 17.
yes. Yes, he did not authorize the fence to be moved. As part of this fence issue, the fence company called us, said, hey, what's wrong with this permit? We said, well, it was installed, but it wasn't installed in the right place. So they went and moved it
Okay.
to get that, keep that permit
Keep that,
legitimate. And
okay.
so he's asking to move it back an additional 3 feet.
To the front, but not to the side.
So you see the existing fence here? He's asking to move it 3 feet towards this road.
Towards the side.
Towards, yes, yes. So it'll come down additional 3 feet. When you look at variances, you look at conditions, you can kind of see there's this slight, these roads all have a slight bend away. It's not just a true straight line. If you drew that line, it would, so there is a little bit of circumstance where the road's going away, so that angle, as he said, is not as pronounced for that person backing out of the driveway at 3 feet. It helps it a little bit. And the variances, we'll have people that want to go all the way to the sidewalk, 5 feet away from the sidewalk. This is a 3-foot variance, which under some jurisdictions, you can do administratively, 25%. So it does meet a threshold if he's not asking for the biggest variance he can ask for. And there is a little different scenario than maybe every other lot, but it is still, it's a fence. He still would have full use of his property. He can still fence it. Denying the variance isn't gonna keep him from having common use of his property and his,
Mr. Roomer, the overhead photography seems to display a public park, a community park, just about half a block away from the house. Is that correct?
yes.
Is that someplace that sports training activity could take place? Is there a prohibition on that?
No, that would just be up to the developer HOA.
Thank you.
My question's a little bit different. I notice he wants to move the fence 3 feet into the utility easement.
Is there utility easement?
Well, that's what it shows right here. You
Yeah,
got
I was
a
gonna say
10-foot
that.
drainage, utility, and sidewalk easement. And right now it's a 10, so essentially the drainage and sidewalk and utilities.
So the fence would be 7 foot from that utility.
Correct. So what is in the utilities right now? Is everything already run? I mean, I'm assuming if they got to come through there and dig it up again and lay utilities, there's a chance that fence is going to have to be taken down
No, it
again.
should not. So the fence would go from here 17 feet. So you've got a 10-foot to this line, that's where they
That's
have
the
the right
utility
work.
easement.
And it would be another 7 feet over here. So it would be clear of that,
Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes. So remember, it's not from the edge of the street, edge of pavement, it's from the property line.
Got it, thank you.
Additional questions? All right. With that, I will entertain, I suppose before I do that, I should read off, because I keep forgetting this part, and I should read it off, only because it's in the notes here. As summarized in the staff report, the P and Z must find the following requirements are met in order to recommend an approval for variance, and these are: special condition or circumstance exists which are peculiar to the land, structure, or required subdivision improvements involved, and which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or required subdivision improvements. That a literal interpretation of the provisions of these regulations would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties with similar conditions. That the special condition and circumstances do not result from the action of the applicant. That the granting of the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by these regulations to other land, structures, or required subdivision improvements under similar conditions. In order to recommend approval of variance, planning and zoning must find that the reasons set forth in the application justify granting the variance, and granting the variance will be in harmony with the surrounding territory and not injurious to the public welfare. And for this, we just need one motion, so we will need a motion to find if we're moving this or not. So we'll open it to the floor.
Mr. Chairman, as I read that, what you just did
Yeah.
there in the papers that we received, I think it said that none of these conditions exist. Is that correct?
When reviewing based off of our criteria, which matches the Florida statute, yes. So you take public comment and anything you see additionally into account. So yes, when we do our staff analysis, we try to find a way to help them comply with one or all. Or if, we check to see if they comply with one or all. There's no way to make a case that they meet any of those based off of our analysis.
Thank you.
You can come up with your own analysis.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Based on the criteria that we must consider, I would like to move that variance request number VR 1907, that we recommend to the commission that the requirements for a variance have not been met, and so the application should be denied or recommend denial.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion to deny the variance. Motion made by Vice Chair Williams, seconded by Member Wunderlich. All those in favor of deny signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
And,
The motion passed. It was a 3-2 vote.
okay, I missed the first one there, okay. All right, so 3-2 it passed. All right. So, still go before the city commission. Just, it'll be a deny from recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Cortez, I'll call you tomorrow on this.
Yeah.
I'll call you tomorrow and go over.
All right. And that moves us to our next piece of business, which is the West Oaks Self-Storage and Office, rezoning to PUD, and again, Development and Service Director Mike Rummer.
Yes, and first I want to apologize. If you follow the tabs on the bottom of these next PowerPoints, they don't necessarily match. I had my staff make a new PowerPoint, they're out of town, and I threw it together last minute. So we may be on something else. It may highlight zoning map, but we're not there, I know. So this is a rezoning of a parcel. This is an interesting project. It's located on the very east side of the city, on the south side of Colonial Drive and west of Good Home
Good
Road.
homes, yeah.
So, and the property is sort of an enclave in the sense around the county. You have apartments that are in the county. You have the Big Baptist Church property, which is in the county. You have the Walgreens and the Dunkin' Donuts, which are in the county, and you have this development that's within the city. So that's the location. This specific sort of pad, it's a condo. It's unit 4 of this commercial condo. It's 4 acres. It's zoned C2. Here's an aerial. You've got the Aldi shopping grocery store. There's a new Aspen Dental and a McDonald's, and then there's a pad that's ready for a building. And this lot happens to be the pad and drive aisle and parking for what was anticipated is to be future commercial. Everything else around it is in the county. And then we have the city across the road, which is sort of this neat little enclave on the other side of the road. I'd be interested to see how that came about. It said the existing zoning is C2. So this is and it has commercial land use. On this pad, what's being proposed is a 4-story building, which will include an addition to the Aldi supermarket. It will be climate-controlled storage with retail on the front, sort of like the storage facility on Highway 50 next to the Turnpike. It's got retail, 60-foot deep retail across the front. The second and third floor will be storage. The fourth floor will be office and some storage. Sort of like a mixed-use building on this pad. It will not require any site improvements. It's all master stormwater, the drive aisles, water, sewer, fire lines, all of that's there. It's what do we put on this pad? Looking at the unique aspects of this property, this pad sits off a good distance from Highway 50. It's got the big large cross cell tower is along the 408s on this property. And we just had the build out of the Aspen Dental. So in order to make this project work on this pad, we're rezoning it for planning and development. And as I said, it'll consist of 2,700 square feet addition to the Aldi grocery store. It'll fit within this pad, and the building will go on top of it and around it. It's got a 7,300 square foot of retail space, climate controlled, and 34,000 square feet of office. This is the plan. This is the existing pad. The Aldi addition will kind of square this off. It'll fit in there. And the second and third floor will still fit this envelope. The drop-off, loading, unloading will be done underneath the building, 14-plus foot drive-through. Circulation meets, this is the view from looking at 50 or Green at McDonald's of the building. It's a unique, the climate control generates very few trips. You have office and retail with this. And it's a rezoning to PD to a land use plan. We will review the site plan as part of the building permit, and really the site plan is just going to look at those utility and fire line connections. There's no work outside of that pad to be done. With that, I'll entertain any questions, and the engineer is available. Do you have any questions?
All right, so any questions from the members before we open up?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question. Mr. Rummer, I'm trying to visualize what a four-story building would look like. Even though it's set back away from the road, I'm concerned it will still be visually.
The maximum height requirement in a commercial zone is 45 feet. And that is depends on the type of roof, halfway or flat roof. So you can have a 45-foot structure there.
Okay.
The
Okay.
office zoning and land use reduces that down to 40 feet, but the commercial is 45 feet.
Okay.
And it's set back, I think I did a measurement in the staff report, some 200 feet or something, 100 feet from Highway 50. So, and then to the rear, you know what's adjacent. It's not undeveloped, so.
Yeah, that building behind it's tall, right? Isn't it two-story? The school building?
Yeah, it's a church.
It's a school.
Yeah, school.
Well, church school.
Yeah.
It's one of the multiple.
Additional questions?
Yeah, does our comprehensive plan really account for another storage facility?
The comprehensive plan would just get into FAR of commercial use.
Because we have six storage facilities within a 3-mile radius.
Yes.
And we have 9 if you go another half mile into Winter Garden. It seems like we could probably utilize areas a little bit more and more in line, I think, with what the city and the community wants. And that's my opinion, anyway.
I think it was the same store with the Dollar Trees, right? Can't pull Dollar Tree out of the code. So.
Additional comments or questions? All right, with that, let us open the public hearing. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this issue before? have one. We'll ask that you give your name and address when you come up. Also, we'll ask that you fill out a form afterwards, because I don't know that I have a form for you.
I'm Brian Potts, 2494 Rose Spring Drive, Orlando, Florida. I'm the engineer for the project. So just want to say we agree with staff, and I agree there's a lot of self-storage, but our thought on this was my client who owns the property was trying to utilize it. He wants to move his office here, and he liked the idea of having the nice fourth-story views. And so they had the commercial in the front. We talked to staff, and I think if we were trying to do straight self-storage, they would have just told us to leave. So, but with the mixed use, staff seemed to think that it was a good idea.
I will say the building's beautiful. I mean, it's not your typical, run-of-the-mill, single story with all the garages, but I do feel that it is a little bit excessive, I think, for the area, but.
Understood.
All right. Additional comments? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the, again, this is one that we only need one motion. I should mention, I suppose for the record here, Member Lumnick has arrived, so he will be voting on this, and Member Forges will be back to alternate for now there. But we do appreciate your vote there for the for the first one. They came in and broke the tie. So,
Minutes.
yeah, so, and you made the minutes.
I'll be right back.
So with that, we need one motion on this, on the approval of a rezoning of PUD project RZ 200101. One way or the other? No way.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry,
I'd like
I'm
to make a motion
Still viewing.
on project RZ 201010. I make a motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by by Member Lupnick. We have a second by Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And it passes unanimous? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to apologize for being tardy.
That's quite all right. That happens from time to time. Work does pop up there, so we appreciate you making it, though.
I haven't even been home yet.
All right. So our third one is West Orange Medical. This is an annexation and a rezoning, so when we get down to it, there'll be two motions necessary for this one. In the meantime, back to you, Director
Yes.
Romer.
This is a annexation. The property is located on the south side of Old Winter Garden Road, just past Blackwood Avenue and Hempel area, the Blackwood Avenue, I should say. It's across from the hospital. On the east side of it is Citrus Medical, which is in the city, which is an office, a medical office park, condoed with pads, and has 8,000 square foot medical buildings around that size. This is a petition to annex two properties into the city. There are existing two single-family homes on there. The property is within our joint planning area, and when we negotiated the joint planning area agreement with the county for lands that what they're going to be as upon annexation, we had already identified this area as being professional office and service. So that's why there's no land use amendment with that. So this is an annexation to plan unit development in order to establish a office park, three building office community. It's on 1.21 acres. It meets adjacency on the east and the north side, so that meets the statute requirement for annexation. It's voluntary. The property owner's here. He's asking to annex. And so what's being proposed is a 14,646 square foot medical office complex. There's 3 buildings. We have a land use plan, so you have 2 one-story buildings, a 2-story building, associated parking, drive aisles. The applicant is able to utilize, based off our code, a reduced landscape buffer from 25 feet to 15 with specific plantings. We'll work with them on the plantings to make it look like Blackwood Avenue, so in the new median plantings on Old Winter Garden, so it all has a consistent theme, which they've said, yes, they will meet. And so this is simply annexing the property. The property to the, I want to state, the property to the west side and the south are all still in the county, they're agricultural. Definitely see this corner parcel, you're on a major arterial road, 26,000 trips across from the hospital, across from Walmart. This going commercial in the future, it is agriculture. We're not requiring a 6-foot wall, which we'd have buffering adjacent to a residential that's going to be residential. So to provide a fence, there's just not a wall requirement because this property is agricultural and it's not gonna stay that way in the future. It'll change over time. So with that, entertain any questions.
Before we open the public hearing, any questions from the dais?
Mr. Rumor, is that Orange County property right now, or is it?
Where the one where,
Yes.
yes, so they're asking to annex.
Does it, is any side of that lot, those two lots adjacent to the city, to the village of Gotha? Or is this,
Village of Gotha
Yeah, or is this
no,
further north?
Blackwood Avenue is not.
okay,
It's, good question. And Gotha is around Hempel and back behind there. Our utility boundary comes into this area and comes down, so it is not.
thank you
So
very much.
yes, but it's close, good question.
Additional questions?
From reading my package, there were some comments with regard to the sanitation.
Yes, so sanitary sewer is located right about here on Blackwood Avenue. There's a private line, Citrus Medical has a private line that runs around and connects. The applicant will either have to make a route similar. He feels that he has a deal to be able to get a utility easement through here and connect it closer. So water's available, sewer's a little distance, he can get to it. In the non-residential world, if it's within a quarter mile, it's available. So in order to do that, to do this type of development, he would need to connect to sewer, so he'll have to make those arrangements.
Okay, so then the agreement to connect the sewer, the applicant will have to rely on the owner here or the medical plaza?
Can't use the medical, that's a private line, so they're gonna have to run
Per
to that
agreement.
system on Blackwood.
Okay.
Or it might, yeah, could possibly
Per
do a deal
agreement,
with,
yeah, private agreement.
could do a deal with the private, because these are not fee simple lots.
Okay.
It's one condo, they could do a deal with the people next door if he was able to work one out.
But nonetheless, they must connect to the sanitation
Yes.
that we have at least.
Yes.
Blackwood Ave. Okay.
Additional questions? And I only got one more, and it was more in with the building itself with the 2-story. I saw where it looked like the elevator was, but where were the stairs?
I was gonna put multiple, but you couldn't read it. So the way this elevation's done with like that star is indicating the door opens. It's
Yeah.
not an architectural. Yes, so I didn't,
Okay.
you have them in your plans though, yeah.
Yeah, but no,
The architect's here, he can answer
yeah,
that question.
because the question was, I didn't see where stairs were in the 2-story.
John Nematello, the owner's rep, 3700 34th Street, Orlando, Florida. What you're looking at is one of the single-story homes, the the one-story building. The 2-story design, if you can, do you have that in your package? I can give you that. But the 2-story has an elevator and stairs,
Okay.
of course. It would have to meet code requirement.
Yeah, because it was just, I was looking at it, and it was like, well, okay, I see where the elevator is, I just don't see where the,
This is the 2-story plan coming up right now, and I'll just quickly show you with my finger, once we can get it up on the easel.
all right,
And then you can see on the main floor, whoops,
all right.
We're not sure how to get it up on the screen for you, but I can pass it along and show it to you if you allow me to approach. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
So on the floor plan, there is an entrance here. This will be a lobby, and then there will be an elevator in here. The stairs is not shown on this one here, but on the corridor, there is a stairs. We focus mainly on the elevations for you. We haven't done full architectures. And then on the elevation itself for the two-story, we provided another rendering of it with some of the landscaping. Our goal, and to clarify, we wanted to make sure to let you know that there will be an HOA where we're really restricting the buildings themselves to be consistent in appearance and also in landscaping, and the HOA will take care of the exterior components of all the buildings regardless of the ownership of the individual buildings themselves, to make sure that the appearance is consistent and the architectural design and elements are consistent also. But again, the elevator itself and the stairs will be in the residential package for sure. And to question your answer about the sewer, we would have to definitely in our final construction plan show access to the sewer. It's within a quarter mile, we're required to do that, we will be doing that. And we believe, and we also know that the adjacent private line, the force main, is big enough that we can tie into. If they cooperate with us, we'll be happy to do that, or do the same thing they did, but we understand we will have sewer for you.
Additional questions from you guys?
I had a question.
Yes.
One more question. It's not about design, but it's about, actually it's for Mr. Rummer. I can't remember, now I'm thinking that, because a portion of this is gonna be residential, no?
No, he was
No, maybe
saying-
I,
He's mixing jobs,
I
yeah.
slipped and said homes, but it's
okay,
not.
because I was
This
gonna
is
say,
all-
I
it's all office,
didn't see that.
Office,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's why I was going back and like, okay, all right, well then, good. Okay,
We're all
never mind.
commercial.
I withdraw my question then. I was gonna talk about other things, but.
All right. With that, let's open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the issue? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, bring it back for the staff, for the board. This one, we do need two motions for. First one, we need a motion for the annexation of the property, of the two properties located at Old Winter Garden Road, AX 041980. So we'll start with that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission, acting as the land planning agency, recommend approval of annexation number AX 041980, covering those two property addresses.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Member Wunderlich. We have a second by Member Mellon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, unanimous? All right. Now we need a second motion for recommend the approval to the rezoning of PUD for project RZ-19-04-03.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we the Planning and Zoning Commission, I do know who we are. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the rezoning RZ 19-04-03 as recommended by staff.
All right, is there a second for that?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Chair Williams, a second by Member Mellon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? All right. Thank you. Next, we have the Ocoee Village Center PUD, a substantial amendment to the original PUD. And again, Director Rummer.
Yes, this is a interesting case. This is we're processing it as a substantial amendment to the plan unit development for the Ocoee Village Center PUD. The property is located just off State Road 429, Claricone, Ocoee. The other side of 429 is West Road. It's an accumulation of properties that over 73 acres, which back in April received plan unit development, a rezoning, a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment for commercial, high density or medium densities, and rezoning the plan unit development. This was the plan that was approved at the time. We took it through, and in order to go to this public hearing for city commission under the Orange County School Board Capacity Enhancement Test process, the school board allowed us to go through. They had a it's called a CEA agreement in process. School board said they're fine to go, just condition the approval on facilitation of the CEA. It was going to be on a school board meeting subsequent to that. A Florida law was signed in that made the CEAs not valid. And so technically this PD is still kind of hanging out there. The applicant's still doing work, finalized the townhome builder, finalized the apartment builder. We've been working, my urban designer, with the apartment builder. And out of the changes to the buildings, change to the layout, which we will also be adopting. So this is what was adopted. This is the new layout. Some additional public road access to the east. It's in the it's in the interchange character area. We refined the project, worked on the public park, worked on the roads. They netted some additional units that were not permitted in the PUD. So we're amending that approval to increase the units and to add additional access points. That makes it substantial. In reality, there's a PD out there that's ready to be adopted, and this is kind of amending that one. Again, we're going to go through and work on this. He's continuing to work on the school issue on these additional units. So the change is in the townhome development from 196 units to 232, and from 316 apartments to 360. The next step will be preliminary final site plans for the apartments, which are called Allure. We're calling this the Southeast Commercial. So we have this preliminary final site plan already in under review. We have the Southeast Commercial in under review. We have the townhome development and the roads and utilities in review, hoping to bring them to the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. With that, I'll entertain any questions. Just want to kind of give you that background.
All right.
The
Question?
townhome builder will be Park Square, and the apartments is NRP. I want to say NPR, but.
All right, questions
So,
before we open it up?
so the whole catalyst for the change was the change in the law, which makes what they originally wanted to do.
No, the
Unavailable?
catalyst for the change was, even if the CEA went and they adopted the PD, when we're refining such a large project, initially, if you look at this plan, there was only one connection to the east. As we reworked this new development, I got that second access point to really bring, part of the character area is to make that pedestrian access, and that those are properties to the east are all in the county. Now we'll have water and sewer in that area. They'll be able to come through. They won't have to drive out to Ocoee and Claricona. We got the additional access. The way the lot's laid out in the open space, it just made sense. It's not, you know, it's not someone trying to get as many lots as they can. We've worked on this, we've massaged it, and it just worked out that way. So
Okay.
sometimes with PDs, they show a PD plan. We do that for the public's benefit and your all's. They could have did a big bubble and said, we want 300 townhome units. We may reach it, we may not. And we wouldn't be here. We tie it to the plan and try to get it as close. And if you're going to change, you're going to come back through the process. And we're coming back through the process.
Additional questions?
Does the increased number of units trigger another traffic volume study?
Yes, yes, yes. We're
Can
reviewing that. It's not, it's just,
Can we
it's minimal,
guess
but
as
we
to
do
what
have an
that results
updated.
that's gonna
So
be?
when we show we have this many lots, the traffic studies, the original one already kind of accounted for those trips, but we're making it proportionate to what it is. So we will have an updated traffic study. We have one with this submittal. So we take traffic very seriously up here, yes.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
I can't remember in terms of school capacity, especially considering that there are so many more units going in, does it trigger anything there?
Well, so yes, so it will trigger more students. There's some more one-bedroom apartments. Apartments and townhomes generate less than a single-family home. The part of that process with the school board is you go through on the rezoning or land use amendment, a capacity enhancement. At site plan, you go through concurrency. I have always approached the applications for CEA. There's a big part that talks about vesting. And what I had been told by OCPS staff is, you look at vesting the day that you're going to submit that CEA application, how many building permits for new units can that property pull on that day? If most cases, it's one if it's already residential. So I've tried to say, well, I could do a lot split and get 4. Well, they said, well, your lot split's under subdivision regulations in your LDC, so you can't pull 4 building permits without a process. So on this project, I vested 2 units, one on each big parcel, because they could have pulled a permit to build a house on it. It was initially zoned R1, had a residential land use. Come to find out during this process and discussions that, and I've argued it, that school planning should be based off of land use in plats. If you have an old platted subdivision, if you rework the lots, it doesn't matter, that plat is in place. And we fought with the school board on where we had the variance Forest Lake Estates. They had a lot of small lots that we reworked and actually had less, but they wanted the project to go through a process. It's like those lots are already there. The argument was they had land use, they have low density, they have the right to 4 dwelling units an acre. They could have come in under concurrency with a site plan and done that. So vest those units. We are now, under this process, vesting a large number of units. Now they're residential, they'll convert them to the apartments and townhomes and generate. So before he had a mitigation, he had an agreement. That agreement now is against the law. We're revising that mitigation, that agreement, because we're able to vest a lot more. So it's a different document, still got to go through the process.
Okay, thank you.
But
That was
we'll
very
generate more students, but some of the apartments are 1 bedroom, which do not generate students, so it's not 1 for 1.
Okay, thank you. That was really helpful.
Additional
That's the
questions?
last time I'm giving that speech.
Well, not unless I don't remember next
No,
time.
that's fine.
All right.
Mike, did the first initial plans for the 152 and the private units we had, did they already meet Orange County capacity?
No, he had to mitigate for capacity,
Okay.
and that's what the law changed, and those are no longer valid.
Okay. So now, if we approve, then it goes back.
Yes, that's part of the process, yes. So, yes, again, this process will go as far as the public hearing.
Correct.
Hopefully, the school board will say, hey, we have something we all agree to, we just gotta let all this other stuff shake out, or maybe it will by then. He can go, but just condition it.
Gotcha.
So then, when we come back, when we bring these preliminary final, he's taking a lot of risk, he's doing all the engineering, and something could delay it for a long time, but again, when we bring these preliminary finals, we'll be conditioning upon the PUD being legitimate, finalized, but this is a very, just to kind of point out, this PD not only has the single-family townhome aspect, it's got another commercial for a grocer, out parcels. This is coming in with what we call the Southeast Retail, will be a 7-Eleven, which has like that racetrack Wawa concept. We have a building, retail building next to it. There's a site this site is specific, either this pad or this pad for a hotel. And if a hotel, something other is proposed, gonna have to come back through this process. You've got more retail and apartments. So, you've got public open space, you've got linear trail, you've got a roundabout at Fuller's Crossroad, and Lakewood Avenue. A nicer road, you're taking out, this kind of shows, you can see shaded back. Right now, you presently drive up Lakewood, turn right, and you make this weird connection to the light. All that gets vacated, transferred over to the city, and a new Lakewood Avenue is in its place. Wide sidewalks, 8-foot sidewalks, wide walks, a lot of connection. Bringing sewer from the Montessori brought it from Worst Road to the south, bringing that sewer in the lift station all the way up to this area. And now these properties, which are chicken farms, and they now have sewer at their front door, water and sewer, prime for development, prime to facilitate the rest of the character area that we have there. The development will have entry walls along Claricone, Ocoee that will match, and it'll all have a theme. You'll know that you're in a planned development. So look forward to bringing that to you in March.
Additional questions? Hearing none, we will open the public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to make any comments? Again, just please name and address and fill out a
Will do.
form.
For the record, my name is Richard Wolfarth. I'm the developer and the engineer, 1642 Bridgewater Drive in Lake Mary, Florida. I think Michael explained pretty well where we are. The only correction I'll make of everything he said is 320 apartments, not 360. So it's only an increase of 4 apartments that we're looking for. So it's a much smaller number there, so just to make it a little bit easier. But we're excited. We're excited to come back here next month and really show you the quality of the product that we're looking on all aspects, from the commercial to the apartments to the towns and the entry features. We have that all being rendered as we speak, and I think it'll be, unfortunately, a longer night to talk to you about it and show it to you, but I think it'll be something that the city should be very proud of, and I know I am, of what we're producing. And we do believe that we will be able to work out some type of solution with the Orange County Public School System. You could say that, Michael?
I used a magnifying glass, but
Yeah.
it's 360.
Okay. Good. And then we'll modify that, but it is only 320 units on the plan.
All right. Additional comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back up to the dais. And this one will only need one motion. And so can I have a motion to approve the substantial amendment to the Ocoee Village Center PUD Project RZ-19-10-11?
I'll make that motion. I make a motion to recommend approval for the Ocoee Villages Center substantial amendment to the PUD, project number RZ 191011.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Member Mellon, a second by Member Lomnick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. And that brings us to our next one, which is the Allure at Ocoee Village Center, to be continued to the March 10th, 2020 Planning and Zoning meeting. So I believe I need to open that one.
We did advertise it, yes.
Yeah,
And that's the apartment. That'll come with everything else I said. So
okay. So we will open the public hearing on that, and then we will continue it until next month.
Do you need a motion?
Do we need a motion for that?
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue the Allure at Ocoee Village. I'm trying to get the number for it, I'm sorry. Is there a number of signs? Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no staff report.
Yeah.
That we continue this until March 10th.
Second.
All right. So we have a motion by Vice Chair Williams, a second by Member Lomnick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. So that, I suppose we will close the public hearing for now, and we will bring it back to the board. And only other item on the agenda tonight there is the miscellaneous. Anything there on that, Mike, you want to mention?
Kinda,
or-
you can see that the Waffle House is nearing completion. No round of applause? Okay.
I actually thought it was a little bit smaller than I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit bigger building.
There's a lot, that lot has a lot of encumbrances.
Yeah.
That's why it was gonna be something
Yeah,
like
so I
that.
was,
If you've seen if you've been by Blueford Avenue from 3 o'clock on, you'll see that the Top Gun cheer gym. During the day, buses pull up with kids getting off from around the world training. It's really, really working out great. Directly across the road, we have 2 small-scale site plans for their offices with some warehouse, not dock height, small, but with architectural appeal to them to bring them closer to the street, to kind of get that downtown feel as you move closer. That area is really starting to pan out. We have, they're about to break ground. I forgot on which one we're about to break ground on. It just slipped my mind. But are there any questions?
no, don't have any.
Okay.
All right. So, hearing none, we are ready for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion made by Member Lomnick. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Member Wunderlich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Have a good evening all, and we'll see you in March. And, thank you, Lou, for getting to be there for the,
I almost wish I was saying nay, for the motion to end. No.
we're gonna sit here all night.
All right, I got a question for you.